Okay, we're ready to start now. We apologize for not having any more chairs, but the fire marshal says it is our maximum amount of chairs that we can have in the room. So you're welcome to remain standing, but we can't put any more chairs out. So we apologize for that. I'd like to welcome you all. We're back from our summer recess, and even though we've had other meetings, we haven't had our city council meeting, so this is our first time back for the summer. So we're going to call this to order, and we're going to have a roll call by our city clerk, Mercy Killian.
The record will reflect that all members are present.
If you'll rise, we're going to have our Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by our Deputy Mayor, John Aguilera.
Please join me in honoring our nation's flag. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're going to have an invocation that's led by Fran Jensen, a member of the Vista Women's Club of Vista.
Keep us, O God, from pettiness. I'm sorry. Keep us, O God, from pettiness. Let us be large in thought, in word, in deed. Let us be done with fault-finding and leave off self-seeking. May we put away all pretense and meet each other face to face, without self-pity and without prejudice. May we never be hasty in judgment and always generous. Let us take time for all things and to grow calm, serene, gentle. Teach us to put into action our better impulse, straightforward and unafraid. Grant that we may realize that it is the little things that create differences, that in the big things of life, we are at one. And may we strive to touch and to know the great common human heart of us all. And, oh, Lord God, let us not forget to be kind.
Thank you, Fran. In accordance with the Brown Act, I'd like to announce that as a result of convening simultaneous meetings, the members of the Buena Sanitation District will receive compensation of $147.75 for the district meeting pursuant to the Buena Sanitation District Ordinance 2006-1. The next thing is the approval of our agenda by our city manager, Patrick Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. There are no changes to the agenda this evening.
And we did have a closed session. Our city attorney, Daryl Piper, will bring us out of our closed session.
Thank you, Mayor. The council met in closed session on items CS1 and CS2 on today's closed session agenda. No action was taken that is required to be reported.
Okay, and the next thing on our agenda, we have presentations, and I'm going to have the council join me down there, and we're going to do a presentation first of a letter of appreciation to Dale Nielsen and recognition for his 28 years of service to our city. Our Director of Finance and Treasurer, Dale Nielsen, please join me at the podium. Okay, so let me read this for you. Hold on just a second. 28 years of service, June 15th, 1987, when you came, to August 21st, 2015 this year. Congratulations to Finance Director, City Treasurer Dale Nielsen, who's retiring after 28 years of dedicated service to the City of Vista. On June 15th, 1987, Dale was hired as the accounting manager in our finance department. Through the years, Dale rose through the ranks of the department, and he was appointed finance director on July 1st, 2013. Dale has accomplished a great deal during his tenure with the City of Vista, including the creation of 28 operating budgets and subsequently 28 CAFRs, the completion of more than 700 check runs to ensure that the city's vendors receive payment for services, and numerous bond issues, most notably the financing efforts for the creation of the Vista Village project, which opened in 2003, and the Proposition L Community Projects of 2007. I can't believe that the Vista Village project was 2003. That's a long time ago. Yeah, it doesn't seem like it was. Okay, Dale's integrity is second to none. In the 1990s, he was instrumental in reforming the finance department, strengthening the city's investment policy, and reforming past practices. Dale's courage and high ethical standards are what guided those reform efforts and set the city on the road to solid financial footing. For 28 years, Dale has also served as a valuable resource to the public, fellow employees, and elected officials. He has a keen memory and can recall almost all historical information about the city, which on numerous occasions has provided the needed context for the successful initiation of new programs and projects. Dale also has a special gift for simplifying complex financial information and being able to explain it. Ask him anything, and he will patiently explain it in terms anyone can understand without any accounting speak. The Vista City Council offers its sincere appreciation for Dale's dedication and commitment to the City of Vista and commends him for his 28 years of invaluable service to the Vista community, and we wish him well in his retirement and future endeavors. So congratulations to Dale. I'll have the council stay here, actually. Oh, wait.
It's our one opportunity in the tiger tie.
Yeah, I have to explain these tiger ties. Actually, let Patrick explain the tiger.
So over the years, Dale, when he has an important night with the city council, will wear a tie that has a tiger on it. So we could not find this same tie, but we did our best to find tiger ties. And so in honor of Dale, we decided to all wear our best tiger ties, and Ali Zimmerman, our assistant city manager, is wearing her best tiger outfit. That's all right.
Where's Andrea? Well, the tiger tie show. So council, stay here. Where's our council? Who are we missing? Okay. Everybody. Okay, so the next thing we have presentation of law enforcement awards. Sheriff's Captain Larry Nesbitt and Community Safety Commission Chair Catherine Manis, if they'll join me at the podium to present the law enforcement awards to the following individuals. I want Detective Carlos Canella, Sworn Officer of the Year. Come forward. Is he here? We'll start with him. Come on up here. Okay. And I'm going to read this about Detective Carlos Canella, Sworn Officer of the Year. He's been a member of the Street Narcotics and Gang Detail for 3 years. He's very knowledgeable in this field and demonstrates exemplary investigative skills. Detective Canella is credited with positively identifying the suspect in a recent Vista gang-related strong-arm robbery case. When the suspect was arrested for the robbery, he was found in possession of a loaded .22 caliber pistol. When conducting a search of the suspect's home, deputies and detectives located and seized a loaded .45 caliber Glock pistol, a loaded 9mm pistol, one loaded high-capacity 30-round .45 caliber pistol magazine, as well as additional ammunition and all the firearms. Thanks to Detective Canella's work for these weapons were off the streets, and the suspect is facing a multitude of charges. So for that, we are the Sworn Officer of the Year, and he's done a lot more than that, but congratulations to our Oh, I didn't see those. Okay. Okay, so let's do everybody's fishing. Get back here. Come back. Okay, we're good? We good? Our next one is Darcy Brown. Is Darcy, come on, Darcy. Darcy is our Professional Staff Member of the Year. Darcy Brown has been with the Vista Patrol Station since 2002 as the station's crime analyst. Since that time, she has been promoted to Senior Crime and Intelligence Analyst, still servicing the Vista Station. Darcy provides the statistics on crimes in Vista, which enables patrol deputies to focus on locations, days, and times of specific crimes. This year alone, she has been instrumental in redesigning the station's deployment spreadsheet and the Information-Led Policing, ILP. Darcy provides the ILP charts with mapping, strategies, and persons of interest for a briefing board. This information has resulted in a reduction in specific crimes throughout Vista. Darcy's expertise in many areas makes her in high demand, but no matter how busy Darcy is, she is always willing to stop what she is doing to provide assistance to another, and somehow, even with her heavy workload, is able to maintain a smile and a welcoming attitude. So congratulations to Darcy, our Professional Staff Member of the Year. And I have one other one, Everett Draper, who is our Senior Volunteer of the Year. Everett Draper began his volunteer service with the Senior Volunteer Patrol on May 25, 2012. From that date to the present, he's accumulated in excess of 3,200 hours of service. In addition to his regular duties of patrolling, which he performs 2 to 3 days per week, he has participated in numerous activities in support of sheriff operations. Many of these events are emergency call-outs and have occurred late at night or in the very early evening or very early morning hours. Everett has become one of the patrol leaders and supervises the Wednesday patrol. Further, he has taken on the job of organizing and supervising the cleaning of the interior of the volunteer cars by the jail trustees, and recently assumed the responsibility of supervising the care and maintenance of all the sheriff vehicles at the Vista Station. He's been actively involved with recruiting new volunteers for the program. Everett is a very active and civic-minded 82-year-old individual and has become an invaluable member of the Senior Volunteer Patrol at the Vista Station. So congratulations to Everett. Let me get lost on my chair here. Okay, the next thing on our agenda is our consent calendar. The recommendations on the consent calendar will be enacted in one motion unless an item is removed from the calendar. Any member of the public may remove an item by submitting a request to speak card to the city clerk. Items removed from the consent calendar will be considered immediately following adoption of the calendar. So do I have anybody want to remove anything?
Yes, Madam Mayor. I would like to remove C6 and C7, please.
I'd make a motion to approve the balance of the consent calendar.
Okay, and also C9.
second it.
Also C9 is going to be pulled by a member of the audience.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion for the balance of the consent calendar. Do you want to say something?
Nope.
No, okay. Please cast your votes. That motion passes unanimously. So the first thing we'll go to is item C6, which is a street name for a public alley between South Citrus and Haynes Place. And it's we want to rename the street Alley Artman Way. So Councilmember Rigby is the one that pulled that, so I'll turn that over to you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't need a particular report on it. It's just asking to change the name or to actually name the alley Artman Way. I appreciate people wanting to name this. I had a couple of people comment to me at events throughout the town that they would really rather see it named something more historical to the downtown area, like Ava Way, if we were going to name it. So I just wasn't sure how married to this particular name my colleagues are. If there's any interest in something other, if we're going to name it something other than Alley Artman Way.
Okay, do I have any other
comments
on it?
Can I ask for a staff report on the genesis of this proposal?
Okay, yes, absolutely, a staff report.
This was generated by a request from the Vista Arts Foundation to name the alley. It runs between South Citrus and Haynes Place in the historic downtown, parallel to Broadway and Main Street. It's an alley that has no addresses right now, so it's unnamed. Annually, or starting last year, they the Vista Art Foundation had an art festival called the Alley Art Festival that focused on promoting arts within the alley area that we're talking about. They did some paintings along the back of the Avo and the back of the cafe there, and they put in a sculpture near the intersection of Indiana and the alley. And this year, with the Alley Art Festival coming forward, they requested that the alley be named in recognition of the Alley Artman sculpture and to promote the Alley Art Festival. And so the genesis of the name is really from the Vista Arts Foundation.
Okay, any other speakers here? I don't see, I have no audience speakers.
Okay.
So,
Well, I just wasn't sure. A couple of people had brought it up to my attention, so I said that I would bring it up here. But I really am not opposed to the name in itself, so I would go ahead and move that we accept C6 and renaming the alley, or naming the alley Artman Way.
I'll second it.
Okay, and Councilmember Campbell?
I was going to make a motion for approval.
Then a motion. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Please cast your votes. That motion passes unanimously. The next item will be item C7, which is Paseo Santa Fe Streetscape. Can't say that. Streetscape Improvement Project Phase 1, and I'll turn that also over to Councilmember Rigby.
I don't know if my colleagues want the staff report, but I just have a quick question for you. On the staff report that's included in our agenda on page 2, first paragraph, it comments due to potential prevailing wage issues. And then the amount of this change order is $199,991. I wanted to ask, and I don't know if you have an answer to this, with Senate Bill 7, SB 7, which mandates the issue of prevailing wages in California for public entities. Do we know what the cost of this project might have been had we not been under the stranglehold of the state's law versus the $199?
It would have been the total cost of the project, which I understand is in the realm of around $50 million.
No, I mean this change order.
How much would the change order amount have been without the prevailing wage
Without
issue?
the prevailing wages.
If we didn't have the prevailing wage issue, we wouldn't need to do the change order. The reason that we're doing it is so that the city can undertake the work and not the developer. Had the developer of the project adjacent undertaken the work like we originally planned, they were concerned that their whole project would have been held to prevailing wage and they would have significantly increased their cost.
But I think, Councilwoman, the cost, if it was bid at non-prevailing wages, is $116,000. So by paying prevailing wages, it's approximately $83,000 more.
Okay, thank you. That's the number I was looking for. I just wanted to put that on record of what it is to do business in California with some of the laws coming at us from Sacramento that we have no control over. So with that, I will go ahead and move that we approve this change order.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, and no further discussion. Please cast your votes.
Thank you very much.
That motion passes unanimously. Next thing on our agenda will be our consent item C9. and that's pulled by Cliff Kaiser. That's a memo of understanding with the Vista Employee Association and the Vista City Maintenance Association, letter of agreement with the Vista firefighters, and management and confidential employee compensation plan classification and compensation index amendments. So we have Cliff Kaiser. Do you want to
Council, would you like?
Do you want to report, Council? We don't want to report. Cliff?
Good evening, Council, Mayor. A couple of quick questions regarding the MOU that I was unable to get on my own. I guess the first question is, what percentage of the city employees do these 3 or 4 MOUs cover? Is question number one. Is it 50%, 70%, 80% of the employees? And second, related to that, is will the employees that are not covered by these MOUs or they don't have a collective bargaining agreements, will they get raises as well? And if they do, what would be that impact on the total budget? So that we have the $330,000 for this pay raise, plus potentially any employees that aren't covered by this. And I can stop for your answer. I can ask a couple more questions.
Assistant City Manager Ellie Zimmerman will answer that.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. The item C9 covers all employees in this city with the exception of Vista Firefighters Association, so it's approximately 75% of our total staff, if I'm doing it right in my head. And what was the second?
Your salary and the city managers, you're all part of this agreement?
The management and confidential plan includes management employees. And all management and all confidential, they're not represented by a bargaining unit, but that's their plan.
Okay, thank you. And then when we evaluate the need for employee raises against the rest of the things that the city does, I have to always question, are we doing justice to the parks and recreation services that the city office offers? Are we doing justice to the roads that we drive on? I know that you guys pave a lot of them and surface a lot of them, but there's still a lot of them out that are in pretty bad shape. Or code enforcement, which has been one of my pet peeves for quite some time. I've addressed to the council on. If you drive right down Vista Way or Civic Center, you're halfway in a barrio with all the people parking their cars on their front lawns and leaving trash cans out in front of their yards and stuff like that. And we can't seem to get anything done about that. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, Council, I might add, I think it's, if I'm not mistaken, it's been within 7 years, the employees as well as management confidential, VCA, VCMA have received 2% increase in salary for 7 years. So just to throw that out.
Thank you. Councilmember Franklin.
I just wanted to say, in response to your questions, Cliff, you know that I've been one of the most fervent advocates of fiscal conservatism and of balancing our budget and living within our means. But I support these increases that we've negotiated, which I will tell you the council has invested significant time in meetings and discussions and in education. The employees, in many cases, they're all in a little bit different category. Many of them did go many years. Some even took some voluntary reductions for periods of time to avoid layoffs. So I think there is absolutely, it's absolutely time to, and we all understand anybody in a salaried employed position expects to receive some increase in pay over time. Many of our employees have gone a very long time without adequate pay increases, and so it's become a real morale issue. And the one thing that I would communicate to you and to everybody is that we absolutely had conversations about whether we were living within our means, whether these raises were appropriate for our staff, and whether they fit within what we felt we needed to do to be a competitive wage-paying employer. And all of that said, that's why I'm supporting these increases. So, and I would move that we approve item C9.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Please cast your votes. Did you? She hit the wrong button, so do you want to reset it? Okay, cast your votes again. We'll try it this time. Councilor Franklin. There we go. That passes unanimously. That brings us now to our discussion items. Items scheduled for discussion generally require a detailed explanation by staff and agency member input. So tonight we have 3 discussion items. The first one is travel and training authorization and expense reporting policy for the City Council members. And our Assistant City Manager, Ali Zimmerman, will present the staff report.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Actually, Tony Winnie, our assistant to the city manager, has prepared a report and will present it tonight.
Thank you. At the June 9th, 2015 City Council meeting, during discussion of the fiscal year 2015-16 operating budget, the City Council requested that $2,500 per council member be added to the budget for travel purposes, and that staff develop a formal policy governing travel and training authorization and expense reporting for City Council members. Before you tonight is the proposed policy for your consideration. Policy 100-17 as outlined in Exhibit 2 of your council agenda packet, which details the types of travel and expenses incurred by City Council members that would be eligible for reimbursement and how the budget for City Council travel is established. The proposed policy would work in concert with the City's existing administrative policy governing travel and training authorization and its expense reporting for all other City employees, and is also included in your agenda packet as Exhibit 3. Based on input we received, if Council would like to modify language within the proposed policy to address out-of-state travel or international travel, we can do so with a memo sent from the Council member requesting the travel to the remainder of the Council. If approved, $2,500 will become available for immediate use within the 15-16 operating budget, and to fully fund the additional travel funds later this year, a budget transfer request will be brought before the City Council for approval as part of the fiscal year 15-16 first quarter report. That concludes my presentation. Ms. Zimmerman and myself are here to answer any questions you may have at this time.
Thank you. Council, do you have any questions? Councilmember Campbell?
The only comment that I'd like to make, if my council colleagues would agree with this, is on page 3 of 9, section A, part 3-1, I'd strike the out-of-state travel as requiring prior council action approval. I have no problem leaving international travel. I'm not sure that would need to remain. I don't see any need for us to do international travel, but I imagine that it would be quite cumbersome and potentially increase costs if we had to have prior council approval for any out-of-state travel. It would increase the flight costs, hotel costs, waiting for that approval. That would be my only modification. And with that modification, to strike out-of-state travel and follow Mr. Winning's recommendation of a memo to the rest of the council, I'd move for approval of this policy.
Does anybody else have any comments on that? If not, I'd be looking. Councilmember Rigby?
I was just wondering, I do a lot of traveling in the state on behalf of the city, but not out of state. How often would an out-of-state travel come up before us? Would it be that cumbersome? I mean, is somebody here trying to go out of state a lot?
Maybe somebody want to go to Washington, D.C. to lobby or something, or to meet with someone there?
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
I think with $2,500, it's not going to occur that frequently.
Yeah.
So I was thinking. I'm agreeable to striking that out. I also understand that it's written in here that any travel reimbursement or travel expenses would be on the public record through the city manager's office. Am I correct?
That's correct.
Absolutely. So I'm agreeable to making that change.
Councilmember Aguilera. Actually, Deputy Mayor Aguilera.
Yeah, I'm fine. No questions.
You want to make a motion? Somebody? Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Campbell, second by Councilmember Rigby. Please cast your votes. That motion passes unanimously. Moving on to our second discussion item, which is Vista Municipal Code Chapter 1.13, Administrative Citations. And again, Assistant City Manager Ali Zimmerman will present the staff report.
And again, I will defer to Mr. Winnie to present the staff report.
Thank you, Ms. Zimmerman. At the June 9th, 2015 City Council meeting, the City Council discussed amendments to the Vista Municipal Code Chapter 1.13 and directed staff to return at a later meeting date with those changes. As requested, Exhibit 2 of the agenda report packet you have before you tonight amends Municipal Code Chapter 1.13, raising the amounts of fines for administrative citations. Of note, the California Government Code caps citation amounts at $1,000. Citations would now move to $125 for the first violation from $100. The second violation would move from $200 to $250. The third violation would remain at $500, and the fourth and all subsequent violations would be capped at $1,000. The City Council also requested an annual increase in the amount of fines by the Consumer Price Index in increments of $25 to accommodate for inflation. However, as stated above, legally the City cannot levy a fine that exceeds $1,000, and using the CPI escalator as an indexer would mean that each violation would increase at different times, which would cause inconsistencies in the fine amounts. It would also take anywhere from 3 to 13 years to reach an additional $25. Therefore, at this time, staff recommends leaving the fine amounts as identified in the proposed ordinance. If the City Council would like to come back or increase administrative fines in the future, staff can return at that time for adjustments. That concludes my presentation. Ms. Zimmerman and myself are here to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Councilmember Campbell.
I just want to say thank you to my council colleagues for agreeing to add that fourth tier citation level. And with that, I'd make a motion for approval.
Do I have a second? Or any more speakers?
I'll second it.
Okay. Did you want to say something also?
No, I just pushed the wrong button.
Okay. Please cast your votes. That motion passes unanimously. Our third and our last discussion item is a project modifications for Nueva Vista. It's a project on South Santa Fe. And the Director of Community Development and Engineering, John Conley, will introduce this item.
Thank you, Mayor. Associate Planner Adam Feinstone will be presenting this evening.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. The item before you tonight will describe proposed changes to the Nueva Vista multifamily project. As background, the Planning Commission approved a site development plan including a density bonus for a 35-unit multifamily project located at 1248 South Santa Fe Avenue in December of last year. The project was subsequently appealed to the City Council, who reviewed the project in January of this year. Concerns were raised at that hearing regarding various aspects of the project, and the hearing was continued to a future date uncertain. The applicant has since revised the project, and I will introduce the proposed changes, and the applicant will then provide additional details. For reference, the project would be located at vacant property at 1248 South Santa Fe Avenue. It's just north of the intersection with Mar Vista Drive. The property and the project site is designated for mixed-use development. It allows a maximum residential density of 15 dwelling units per acre. And as a refresher, here's the original site plan that was initially presented to you in January. I'll now briefly summarize the changes made to the project based on the concerns raised in January. The applicant has changed the project from a 35-unit apartment community to a 22-unit for sale condominium project. Project density has been reduced from 18.2 dwelling units per acre to 11.5 dwelling units per acre. Total number of parking spaces has been reduced from 71 to 60. However, the spaces have been increased from 2.03 to 2.73 per unit, and now include 2-car attached garages for each unit. Based on regional trip generation rates for multifamily projects, The number of daily trips to and from the project site would be reduced from 280 to 176. The project now proposes 5 buildings ranging from 2 units to 6 units each, rather than 3 buildings ranging from 6 to 15 units each. Further information on the architectural changes will be provided by the applicant shortly. Finally, as far as project amenities, barbecue stations have been added to the project in addition to the tot lot that was previously proposed, and the amount of open space for the project has been increased. Changes described above or previously can be seen demonstrated in the conceptual site plan here. I'll now turn the floor over to the applicant, who will be able to provide additional details on the proposed changes.
Mayor, members of the council, Mark Whitehead, Brandywine Homes. After the hearing that we had in January, we listened to everything we heard. We went back to the drawing board. We got a brand new architect, one that we've used for many years, many projects that work with us. Brought him in, asked him to do kind of a fresh look. Let's see if we can take this site to a for-sale site, typical townhome style, see what we can do, with architecture, density, and whatnot. And working with the staff the entire time, we kind of brought back a project with what we think that you guys wanted to see and to have in the city. We tried our hardest to really incorporate what we heard that night and try to put the architect that we brought in and make him really focus on what it was. And Dave's got a little PowerPoint presentation to kind of walk you through as well. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Dave Maldonado, D33 Design and Planning, 31866 Camino Capistrano and San Juan Capistrano. And what I've prepared is a summary of what Adam has just kind of explained to you, with a little more detail of the previous project and what the proposed project is going to be. So as stated before, it's a 22-unit townhome for sale project. A little more detail on the previous site plan, showing kind of the building composites. It was 35 units, 3-story. It was 3 stories. I have 3-story stack flats. Stack flats typically means one on top of the other, except it's actually 2 stories. It's a 3-story product, but the lower level is parking, so it's technically not 3 stories of stack flat. It's a 3-story total. The density was proposed was 18.2, tuck under parking, like Adam had mentioned, and the floor plans ranging from 1,000 square feet to about 1,085 square feet. And if you watch, you can see the kind of the difference in the site plan here. So we're proposing 22 for sale townhome units, 2 and 3-story townhomes. One of the during this whole process, I think with Brandywine, prior to Adam seeing the site plan that we proposed, I think we went through 7 or 8 different iterations to try to get to a point where we thought that, taking all the comments that came from Adam, reading the previous reports, to try to come up with this project. 11.5 dwelling units to the acre. We did notice that there was a comment, the closest unit on the previous plan was a 3-story unit, which is the very top right corner there. So we took that comment and we made that unit a 2-story unit to kind of minimize the height effect to the local neighbor. And the graphic that you see there on the site plan, you see those trees. Those are actually trees taken from the aerial. It's a graphic, granted, but those trees on that right-hand corner are pretty tall. So we feel that with that screening of the existing trees, lowering the elevation style, that'll really minimize that view, and hopefully the neighbors will appreciate that. 2-car enclosed garages, which previously the project didn't have, and the square footage are from 15 to 2,300 square feet. The proposed project open space amenities, we've increased that from the previous one. We're calling it an active open space, which is right at the front entry of the project, where we could have a tot lot and some barbecues, and it's an actual open space element for some active activities. You can't play football there, but you could walk your dog, maybe play some catch. And then we also have 2 passive open spaces. We call them passive because they're smaller than the one up at the front, and one is at the right-hand side of the project, and the other's at the left-hand side of the project, upper left and upper right. The previous floor plans range from 1085 to down to 1016 or 1016 to 1085. And then the proposed is we have the 2-story unit, the duplex that I explained earlier, the 2-car garage, 3 bedrooms. And the other 2 plans are Plan 2 and 3. Those are the 3-story units. This one has a bedroom down. The second level is kitchen, living, dining. We call that the livable area. And then the third floor has 2 bedrooms and masterette. And kind of the same concept for the Plan 3. The difference is it's an end unit, so it's a little wider. Usually the end unit's a little more desirable in regards to light coming into the house because you get it on 3 sides versus the 2 sides. So that's the Plan 3, coming in at 2,300 square feet. Proposed elevations, as mentioned before by Adam, they're a little on the boxy side, and we wanted to try to eliminate that. So what we ended up doing is this is showing you the largest 3-story unit, because we have a 4 and a 5-plex. This is a 6-plex building. And then, so we have a little more articulation on this elevation versus the other. They have balconies, they have little front porches. One thing I did want to mention on your packet, I believe, if you look at, let's see, does this have is the red okay, the laser beam, right? Okay, see, right here above the garage, this little shed roof here, originally, on your packet, we have it called out as standing metal seam roof. I guess I must have took a little artistic license into that because I got my hand slapped for that. So they want to go with the same type of roof that we have on the top, which is an S-style roof. And the reason is, it's a good reason. It's a small amount. If it was a larger amount, they may have looked at it differently, but for a small amount to bring that special contractor in for that, the price just really raises, and we wanted to try to keep that down. So just wanted to point that one out to you guys. I'm not trying to hide anything, but that was one of the things that we wanted to point out. So this is the 3-story unit, the 2-story. This is the duplex. So you can see this the massing in regards to the height is obviously a story lower, but the architecture is very similar to the 4-plex, the 6-plex, and the 5-plex. And the last couple slides here are going to give you an example of the street scene. Keep in mind it's somewhat skewed because the street scene isn't flush with Santa Fe, right? Santa Fe at the front. So, but this would depict in 2D what it would look like from Santa Fe, and then ours, the proposed project, as such, with the 2-story on the far right. And that concludes. Any questions?
Thank you. Are there any more? Is that all, John?
That's the end of the staff presentation. Thank you.
Okay. We have one speaker. Would you like to hear the speaker? Wendis Sapashian. Is Wendis?
Hello. My name is Wenda Saposhian, and I live at 1324 Cypress Drive. I'm pleased with how they listened and how they changed things. The only thing that really chafes me is those are up against a big dirt wall, and they're showing sky, and I don't think that that's really how it's going to look. A couple things that I'm concerned about is it really an appropriate place to live? There's the American Legion, Patrick Flynn with pneumatic tools going all the time, and then there's the strip center right there, and they're kind of wedged in there. I mean, is it attractive? It appears to be at this point, but is it a place that should be a place to be desirable to live? I mean, it's not exactly the top-notch little strip center that we'd like it to be. Also, my concern is that you put 22 homes in there and the traffic that's 176 trips. And, I'm fully aware that the one across the street is kind of like that's the other apartment building that's supposed to be being built. The traffic hasn't been solved, and they're the ones that's kind of the kingpin of having to do the traffic circle. And I'm concerned about that you're going to put a little apartment or a condo here and then another one on this other lot, and then there's another one down. So in a half a mile of South Santa Fe, we could end up having 300 more units in there, which has never been that type of a neighborhood. So I'm concerned about that. Also, from the railroad tracks on South Santa Fe, south of there, to Monte Vista, there's no traffic lights, and you guys probably aren't aware, but there's street racing there at night because we can hear it. I'm concerned about the traffic and how are people going to cross that street, should they desire to be across the street. And so my concern is to make sure that we look at this whole thing as a whole, not just this unit, not just these, that they have absolutely listened to everything that was said, and I'm super impressed by that. I like the density. It's just that they don't have what else is around there to show you. It looks magnificent. It isn't magnificent. It isn't a magnificent little strip center. The American Legion was like bars forever, and now it's got, whatever that cover that they put over military stuff in the back. And so I just want to make sure that it's a good fit. It's an attractive unit, but I just don't think that it's the best fit, and I want to make sure that the occupancy can't happen. We cannot take all this traffic on in this area unless there is going to be a solution for it, and there should be a solution before there's occupancy. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comments, Wendy. Councilmember Deputy Mayor Aguilera.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Well, I certainly hear Mrs. Aposhian. Sorry. I know we've had discussions in the past, and I think part of the reason that we're discussing it this evening is because your efforts, and one of our council members also brought this back. So I think we've made some improvements. I think that's part of the public process. The process in general is we get to hear from the public, and the developer heard from the public, heard from council, heard from the planning commission, and I feel like the developer actually listened this time. And not that they haven't, but others sometimes don't. They did a fantastic job. They really stepped up. I actually had to review this with the city manager very closely because I was so surprised at how many changes they actually made, the reductions. And I thought that was very, very positive to see. So I think I definitely have the same feeling that sometimes I wonder why people buy certain homes or certain types of homes. But I've learned over the years that not everybody's like me, and not everybody wants to live like I live. And I think a variety of different homes is a healthy thing for a community. And I think this project will add to our community. It is only 22 homes. Hopefully, this is part of council's long-term goal, and that is to continue to improve the city of Vista. And I feel that this project will actually contribute to that area. I agree. Some of the, the strip mall is probably not the best. They probably don't generate the most business they'd like to generate. Hopefully, this project will help, and the project across the way. And they are pretty close to what is it, Service Place, I think, where all the, like Patrick Flynn's is at. And, I hope that a project like this will actually beautify that area. Right now, that's a pretty ugly piece of land. And I'm looking to go ahead and support this project.
Councilmember Campbell.
Just a couple of questions on this, because this is really a different project than what was brought to us back in January. First off, if maybe the project developer could tell us kind of what the price range of these units they're looking to get, since we are going from a rental project to a for sale.
We're going to be right around the high 300 and high 400s.
This is just a personal concern. This is not specifically to this project, but, Vista, like a lot of other cities, especially Southern California, is experiencing a crisis on the rental market, which is driving a lot of people out of the area because the prices are going up far faster and exceeding the pace with wages. So one of my concerns is when we do projects like this that go from filling a desperate need in our community, especially in Vista, when you look at the prices over just the last 3 years of 4 rent units, that our area median income, a lot of those folks are not going to be able to afford a high $300,000, high $400,000 home. So it's difficult for me to support for sale projects on properties like this, especially when you look at the quality projects that we have going on Paseo Santa Fe and North Santa Fe. So I think you've done a good job addressing the concerns that were brought the last time on this particular project individually, but I do have a question about...
But, one thing that I would like to say, and before we had a for sale project, we had a for rent project, and we did have affordable housing in the project.
And as you will recall, I was very supportive
Correct.
of that the
Correct.
last time
and I'm
when
just
you brought
mentioning
that before the
just
council. I just wanted to point that out. That's
Correct.
why I said that comment was not meant to be a reflection on your project individually. I was very supportive of your bonus density request for those affordability units. So
I just wanted to make that comment. Just kind of heard.
I'm sorry, I should have put that out there. Your original project was that way. The concrete roof tile on the project, maybe it's just the laser printout that we have here. It seems to be kind of multicolored. Is that the actual material?
Yeah, exactly. So it will be kind of, a bunch of different kind of colors that blend together. So it's not just one color and kind of gives just one stark look to it. That way it kind of incorporates all the different colors from, the color scheme of the building, some of the veneer, the stucco accents that we have. It kind of ties it all together.
Okay, it's just always hard to tell when these are printed out.
Correct.
The second one was, it's on the landscaping plan. Is there a significant amount of green grass that you're planning on putting in, or is it more of the water-wise landscaping?
It's more the drought-tolerant landscaping. It's something that we still need to explore with the planning department, on that aspect. We got the amenities in there, but we haven't fine-tuned, exactly if we're going to do grass or whatnot.
Okay, yeah, because all we see on this is just green.
Correct.
So it's difficult to determine. And then the other one, is there any sustainability criteria that you're looking at incorporating into the development in terms of solar hot water, anything
we always do, tankless water heaters. We do additional Title 24, such as upgraded insulation, fluorescent lighting, LED lighting. Nothing specific to solar, but we do all those other energy-saving items that we can put into the units. Energy Star appliances, all that.
Great, thank you. That's all I have.
Councilmember Rigby.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to make a couple of comments. You might recall that I was the council person who appealed this from the Planning Commission to council and had several concerns about the original design and the layout of the project. And everything that I put out there and that my colleagues put out there, you listened to that. And some of the comments that we had from the guests, our residents here that night, you listened to every single one of those. Particularly with the reduction of the number of units. I was very concerned about having the immediate entrance from the garage into the units. You addressed that for me. That's a huge issue for me personally, and I appreciate that you took that to heart and included that. And then also utilizing the existing vegetation where you can and not taking that out. I appreciate everything that you did, and like Deputy Mayor Aguilera said, I'm very impressed that you listened to every single bullet point and you addressed every single one of them. So I appreciate that. And one of the other comments that we had at that meeting was to bring in different types of housing into Vista. Not just rental properties and affordable housing developments throughout the city. And so for you to come back with what you started with was an apartment complex that you wanted to perhaps in the future convert to condos. To bring it back with a better project, listening to the concerns of the council and the community, and bringing us a for sale project really addresses what we had been talking about in bringing in different types of housing into the community. So I appreciate everything you did, and I thank you very much for your patience and coming back and sticking with it and sticking with us. So thank you.
Appreciate it.
Councilmember Franklin.
I just wanted to join in commending you and thanking you for listening and bringing something back that really is going to add value and create something in the city that our families are going to really appreciate and enjoy. I personally, countywide, and Vista has actually led the way in apartment development. I think we've kind of been one of the leading cities in the county for multifamily, particularly rental unit permits. So, the market is reacting to the what I hope is a temporary spike in demand for rental, but sturdy families need homes that are affordable, that they can purchase. The average median home price in California is, I think, about $530,000, so you're well below median. So you're providing something that's very tangible for middle-class families, for people who live in our city to have a home. I think it's fantastic. Strongly support it. I'd much rather see families have the opportunity to purchase a home than to pay $1,500 to $2,500 a month in rent for years to come and have no savings, no future hope of financial stability that comes with home ownership. So I really appreciate what you did, and I just appreciate you being somebody that's come here to build something of value and create value for our residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
I just want to thank you also for, before I talk to John, because I appreciate all the changes that you made, and there were a lot of them that one important thing was the garage access rather than a tuck-under parking and access into the unit. That's really important to me also. And the homes in Vista actually are mid 500s is our average price in Vista, and so these homes are the high 300s to high 400s, and they're actually 1,800 roughly to 2,300 square feet, those are the size of a house. Those are good sized properties, and so those are good prices for those houses or those properties. So I'm happy to have that, and I'm happy to support it. So, Deputy Mayor Aguilera.
I guess I'll just top off the love fest here and make a motion.
Thank you.
For the recommendation. So
I'll second that motion.
Okay, please cast your votes. That motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you. The next thing on our agenda is our public hearings, and we have two of them scheduled tonight. The first one is a development code amendment regarding minor use permits for alcohol sales and revisions to our city's standard conditions. This is a public hearing to consider a proposed amendment to Chapter 18.66 of the Development Code regarding minor use permits for alcohol sales. So our public hearing is now open, and our Director of Community Development and Engineering, John Conley, will introduce the item.
Thank you, Mayor. This is following the changes that were made, I believe, a year or so ago to require minor use permits for on-site alcohol sales. We initiated a new program where we require a minor use permit for on-site alcohol sales where applicants agree to our standard conditions. In following through with that, we are proposing to amend the code this evening to capture not only new businesses, but businesses that change their license with the ABC and either expand their premises or intensify their use. We're also recommending changes to the city's standard conditions for ABC license uses, which are the conditions that we impose on these businesses to address tasting room hours for breweries. So alcohol sales in any property in Vista trigger one of three permit processes. One is what we're talking about tonight, which is a minor use permit with an automatic approval that comes when you agree to the city's standard conditions. The second is a minor use permit, which requires a discretionary approval if you do not agree to our standard conditions and you want to negotiate some specific condition. And the third is if you have off-site sales or sales where people can take alcohol out of the store to drink it, it requires a special use permit. So we're only dealing with the first one this evening. The current MUP process for on-site sales is triggered only by new ABC licenses, as I mentioned. This evening we're looking at expanding that authority to include premises that expand their floor area on which alcohol is sold or intensify the use. In other words, adding things like a billiards table or games or other type of recreational amenities. We're also recommending one change to the city's standard conditions for ABC license uses. It would deal with the microbrewery categories, either with or without food. Tasting room hours for these facilities are typically different than their operating hours. Their operating hours deal with when can people come in and purchase beer from them, not necessarily come in and operate the tasting room. So we're seeing a lot of these businesses operate with different operating hours than tasting room hours. We do not currently have a condition in our standard conditions that regulate tasting room hours. So we've been dealing with it on a secondary level where we've been sending the businesses letters to disclose what their hours can be. So we're proposing to include the allowance to regulate tasting room hours in our standard conditions. The Development Code amendments require City Council approval following the Planning Commission's recommendation. This went to the Planning Commission on July 21st, and they recommended approval 6-1. And so this evening we're recommending approval of an ordinance to change the code as well as a resolution to change the standard conditions. And that completes my staff report.
Thank you. Do any council members have any questions for staff prior to public testimony? No? Okay, seeing none, then I have two speakers. The first one is John Byram.
Good evening, Mayor Ritter and council members. My name is John Byram, and I'm Prevention Specialist for North Coastal Prevention Coalition. NCPC recognizes that all sectors of our community play an important role in preventing underage drinking and reducing alcohol problems. We commend the Vista effort to adopt consistent operating standards for businesses wishing to sell alcohol. Cities all over the state of California are exercising their right as local governments to have local control regarding alcohol licenses. In fact, one of the most effective approaches for reducing excessive drinking and its many health and social consequences is to limit the physical availability of alcohol. While these standard conditions are a good step, we hope that the city will continue to pursue ways to reduce alcohol-related problems. There does not appear to be a process of denying a minor use permit for those who agree to the standards of the conditions, which means there could be an unlimited number of breweries, restaurants, delis serving alcohol in any given neighborhood. In addition, our coalition is following various trends that are increasing alcohol availability in communities, from Starbucks to movie theaters to Taco Bell to farmers markets. There seems to be no end to the number of types of places where alcohol can be found these days. The City of Oceanside recently amended their zoning code to prohibit alcohol sales at drive-through restaurants, and the City of Carlsbad does not currently allow Starbucks to sell alcohol because they don't have a full kitchen. We hope Vista will continue to explore options to prevent excessive alcohol availability by using local land use authority and zoning regulations. Local officials can make a big difference. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Erica Leary.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. I will try not to be too repetitive with my colleague. My name is Erica Leary, and I'm the Program Manager for the North Coastal Prevention Coalition, which is fiscally managed by the Vista Community Clinic. And our mission is to reduce the harm of alcohol, tobacco, marijuana, and other drugs in the cities of Vista, Carlsbad, and Oceanside. Excessive alcohol consumption is the third leading cause of death in the U.S. and is also associated with the 3 leading causes of death for teens and young adults, including motor vehicle crashes, homicides, and suicides. Revising Vista's MUP process to include existing businesses that expand their alcohol availability is a good step in the right direction. But unfortunately, it does not include a process for denying an application if they agree to all the standard conditions, even if that business is located in a high crime or overconcentrated area. Numerous research studies conclude that increased alcohol outlet density contributes to negative community impacts, including excessive alcohol consumption, crime, and violence. In fact, the U.S. Task Force on Community Prevention Services has concluded that limiting both on- and off-premise alcohol beverage outlet density can be an effective means of reducing the harms associated with excessive alcohol consumption. It may also provide additional benefits for quality of life by reducing community problems such as loitering, public disturbances, and vandalism. Vista already has over 100 on-sale alcohol licenses, over 70 off-sale licenses, and 11 small breweries. With a population of about 97,000 people, that's about 1 license per 500 people. And Vista residents agree that too much alcohol contributes to youth access and crime. We did a survey last year, and over 250 Vista residents were surveyed, and nearly 75% agreed that cities should limit the number of businesses that sell alcohol. A more recent survey that we did regarding alcohol in movie theaters, we asked nearly 350 Vista residents, and nearly 60% of those did not think alcohol belonged in movie theaters, and only 11% agreed that movie theaters should allow alcohol in any theater. That's a model many theaters are now adopting unless local governments impose restrictions. So I hope by incorporating findings from national research studies, as well as listening to Vista residents about restricting alcohol availability, Vista can make a real impact in improving community health. By doing so, denying an alcohol application should not be viewed as punishment towards a business, but it should be viewed as your city's role to protect health and safety. And one last thing, sorry, my colleague passed out invitations to the next alcohol policy panel meeting, which is taking place in El Cajon, I believe on August 28th, where they will discuss the recent ordinances that they adopted to address alcohol business problems. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Erica. Okay, that's the last. That's the last of our speakers, and so we'll go to the council now. And I see Councilmember Campbell.
I want to thank staff first off for following through on this process to close this loophole that we had. And before I make a motion to approve this, I'd like to see if maybe you can tell us a couple of the challenges that I know personally that we've had where the ABC has gone against the request of the city on imposing standard operating conditions for existing business locations that did not fall under our existing MUP process.
So the reason we adopted the MUP process in the first place is we were handling these on-site alcohol requests through the ABC process, so that the city was essentially going to the ABC with requests to add conditions to their licenses. The ABC would entertain that for some time, but under recent decisions, they decided they're not going to include all of the city's conditions just automatically, that they would only include the ones that they could regulate, and the ones that were subject to the city's regulatory authority were on the city. So we adopted this minor use permit process to address that, and so they still have to go through both processes. One is the city's process where we impose our conditions. The second is the ABC process where they impose their own conditions. But under this format, we don't lose out on the opportunity to include those conditions. So we have had some businesses doing on-site sales that operated before the MUP process where we've run into challenges with how they're operating.
For an example, I guess one of the locations was located over by the Food for Less in that shopping center that did not fall under our existing MEP process, and the city appealed the ABC's conditions, which were basically none, and a significant amount of staff time is put into each one of those cases individually, basically to get a result that says the ABC doesn't care what the city wants, they're going to do what they're going to do. And in that case, resulted in a business that now has permission to stay open and have alcohol sales in a not so desirable area until 2 a.m. in the morning, which, in my opinion, goes against what we as a city council and we as a city want to see. So I think that this is an important step in closing that loophole without putting any substantial burden on businesses that apply for this if they agree to our standard operating conditions. And with that, I'd like to make a motion that we approve this item and close the public hearing.
Do I have a second? I have a motion and a second. Please cast your votes. That motion passes unanimously also. The next thing is our last public hearing. This is 2014 through 2018 Consolidated Plan Substantial Amendment and 2015 through 2019 Consolidated Plan. This is a public hearing regarding the 2014 to 18 Consolidated Plan Substantial Amendment and the 2015-19 Consolidated Plan. So the public hearing is now open. And let's see, John, our Housing and Redevelopment Director, John Meyer, is going to introduce the item.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. Tonight, Kathy Valdez, our program manager, will be giving you the public hearing report.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. The City of Vista is a member of the San Diego County Home Consortium. The consortium is comprised of the County of San Diego and several other cities throughout the county. Federal regulations require that all consortium members be on the same program year. For some time now, the cities of Vista and San Marcos have been off-cycle from the other consortium members. To correct this, we have been asked to make a substantial amendment to our 2014 to 2018 Consolidated Plan, which you approved last year, to create a one-year plan covering fiscal year 2014-15. The 2014-2018 Consolidated Plan has then been modified to cover the period of 2015 to 2019. A public notice was posted in the San Diego Union Tribune on July 11th, and the documents have been available since that date on the city website, the city clerk's office, and at the Vista Library. To date, no comments have been received. This concludes my staff report. Mr. Meyer and I are available to answer any questions.
Thank you. Do I have any comments by the council? If not, I don't have any speakers, so I would close the public hearing and look for a motion.
I'll move that we close the public hearing and accept this amendment as presented.
I'll second it.
Cast your votes. That motion passes unanimously. Okay, so the next thing on our agenda are our oral communications. Each speaker is given 3 minutes to speak on matters not on the agenda. And I have a lot of speakers tonight, so how about if anybody can do their speak? I can't do that? If anybody can do their speech in a minute or less, I will move you up to the front. So you can come up first. If you can do it in a minute or less, come around. I'm going to hold you to your minute, JC.
I am just pickled and tickled that I have such a big audience, because I just wanted to come to the City Council meeting tonight. Hello, Madam Mayor and City Council, and to remind the good citizens of our fine city, Vista, here, that high school football season is upon us, and the kids are out there practicing and getting ready for the football season. And with the tough budgets, we like to see the stands get full this year, because we've been having a couple struggling years where there's not too many people would show up. That means we didn't sell too many tickets. And you know, $8 a ticket is still the best ticket in the city of Vista. You know, where else can you get a $2 hot dog and a $1 for a bag of popcorn and watch a football game and the cheerleaders and the band at halftime. And man, it's just really a good time. And I know a lot of you have been to them, so I know you all know what I'm talking about. So I'm here begging for our community to support our high schools because they really need it. They have budget cuts over there, and my minute's up. So thank you for hearing me, and I hope to see you all at their Friday Night Lights, guys.
Okay, anybody else can do it in a minute or less? Anybody else for a minute or less? I'll start with all of you guys. Okay, you have 3 minutes, and we're going to hold you to your 3 minutes tonight, okay? Renee Glotzbaugh.
I think it's time we have to recognize the Bringle family, please. They loved Vista. They gave 39 acres 47 years ago to the Bringle Park. And he loved youth and the American way of life. That's what he's all about. So please, when you make your decisions on any alcohol projects, think of Mr. Bringle and his beautiful wife, because crime is there. As you can see, the police cars are down the street. They're everywhere. Young children, it's unbelievable, they're abused. And we have to stop this. Stop the limits on alcohol. And ABC had no right to have an interim license before we were speaking. They went ahead and let the 7-Eleven have a license before we were heard. So please make your good decisions on the quality of life so our children and their families can stick together, because abuse is there. And you read the reports on alcohol, it's bad. Thank you.
Thank you. Pat Gallo. Pat Gallo? Where is he? Followed by Stephen Harvey. If you could kind of, when it's the next person, kind of come up so we can kind of move through it.
Mayor, members of the council, my name is Pat Gallo. I live in Vista Royal Lodge Mobile Home Park, City of Vista. It's the largest park in the city. I'd like to have some more time because I've got a very important program to present to you, and that is the updating of our Accord contract. A contract that's been in existence here in the City of Vista for 20 years. Has done a fantastic job keeping trouble away from you and saving the people in this audience massive rent increases. Please stand up, everybody. This is the audience that have been saving you for 20 years. I said before a previous council like this 21 years ago, when this accord was brought before that council, that they had considered and approved. It was brought about by the behest of Mayor Gloria McClellan, who I think you know very well, Mayor.
Of course.
She wanted this to protect the people in the parks. We're in the midst of a discussion now to try to update this accord contract. We're getting nowhere, to put it bluntly. Why? I'll give you some reasons. I may need a few more seconds, if you don't mind, Mayor.
You have to do it in your 3 minutes. You have a little over a minute left.
I'm here to ask for your support in the development of this accord. We're working with 2 park owners, 2 city representatives that have done nothing to move this forward. We've been meeting for 5 months. We've accomplished nothing. It's a terrible situation, and I think you should know about it. How you dig into this, I don't know. But if I can't go through this, I'll do it backhand. This accord has saved you, me, and these people in the audience a tremendous amount of time and money. We've kept all the problems away from you like they've been in existence in Oceanside, San Marcos, and Escondido. They've dealt and spent many dollars to have hearings about rent increases. You haven't faced that because of the Accord contract. It's kept that away from you, saved you money, and made our increases $10 to $15 a month. My park, the largest park in the city, they say they want more money. The park owners want more money. I'll tell you what, our park, in 13 years that I've lived there, has taken in $15 million. That's basic core rent. We pay, these people in this audience.
Your time is up, sir.
Thank you very much.
Stephen Harvey, followed by Pam Bliss.
My name is Steve Harvey. I've lived in Green Valley Mobile Home Park for the past 16 years. I stand before you this evening to inform you about the lack of progress in reaching a new accord with the City of Vista and the park owners. I'm hopeful that the information you hear tonight will provide you with new direction in getting this process solved. I know that a number of you have stated publicly that you're in favor of negotiating a new accord. It's going to take more than words to accomplish this. The two gentlemen the city has directed to facilitate this task, Mr. Stone and Mr. Meyer, have become the catalyst to the current stalemate that exists. Their strategy to keep the owners and the resident teams apart have created an atmosphere of distrust and an inability to share information with one another. They have displayed a propensity to relay our position on issues in an inaccurate manner and making reaching an equitable agreement impossible at this point. We need the City Council and the Mayor to provide some incentive to these two gentlemen to bring both sides back to the table and work to resolve this matter in a fair and equitable fashion. This process started off with the owners unwilling to share data that would illustrate and verify why the current accord isn't highly profitable. The city representatives and the owners chose to ignore our request and just move forward with establishing a whole new set of accord terms. From the beginning, the owners have employed the just say no strategy to all our positions and our proposals and have failed to provide any new data to validate their positions. Using that strategy and the lack of leadership from the city, we're negotiating against ourselves. We currently have on the table a fair and equitable shared cost offer that will look very equitable in the court of public opinion. There's a verifiable movement in the state of California of mobile home parks owners' collusion. Many parks are now owned by investment groups and see these properties as cash cows. To go along with their deserved reputation as heartless and greedy individuals is the mantra that profit is all that matters. For 20 years now, the City of Vista has provided and secured an accord that regulates and protects the citizens living in these parks. Many of the inhabitants are seniors and retired military living on fixed incomes. The expectation that owners need full rent decontrol in order to make a profit is unconscionable. As the current, I'll be done in 1 second. As the current city decision makers, do you feel comfortable allowing the taxpayers and the voting residents in these locations to be taken advantage of by unscrupulous owners? Please give new direction to the two city representatives. Redefine their role and responsibility in this process and use your considerable influence to get us back to the table so we can resolve this matter in a fair and equitable fashion.
Thank you, sir.
I believe...
Thank you.
I know it's my turn to leave, but I have one sentence left.
Your time is up. Pam Bliss, followed by Suzanne McMurtry.
Mayor and council members, I'm going to be short. I'm going to read a list of questions I do not expect answers from you at this point, but I want you to think about these. Why did the city not even begin the negotiations until April? Even though the city had been in contact and in discussions with the park owners last October. Why hasn't the city held the park owners accountable to providing information that they committed to provide, yet still haven't? Why has the city continued to reword the residents' proposal and cast the most negative light on our proposals? I can provide documentation of that. Why has the city failed to have the owners respond to our request to revisit a fair and equitable proposal? Why has the city failed to hold consistent negotiation meetings? Deadline is going to be the end of this year. What's going on? Why has the city continued to say they want an accord, yet their actions demonstrate otherwise and show a favorable bias to the owners? That can also be documented. Why has the city failed to uphold and enforce the current accord? For example, the park owners provided the city a CPI scale for the past 10 years, or longer than that. The city is well aware that in 2009 there was no increase in the CPI. Yet in 2010, everybody in this room that lives in a mobile home park got a rent increase. What is the city doing to make sure that these people are reimbursed for the overpayment that they were charged? Why isn't the accord available on the city website? It used to be. Once the negotiations started heating up, it disappeared. Why has the city not investigated the different CPI numbers that are currently being used? Santiago Park, their CPI percentage that raised their core rent is 1.3%. Directly across the street, Green Valley, their CPI percentage is 1.7%. What's going on here? Why isn't the city checking that? Where's the oversight?
Your time is up. Thank you. Suzanne McMurtry, followed by Gloria Cosgrove.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. Ms. Ritter, Mayor Ritter, I met you probably about 12 years ago. And looking at your website profile, it does say that you have been in business for 40 years here in the city of Vista. You've been a member of the City Council since 1998. I applaud you for your commitment to the city and your involvement in many, many of its resources. But I do want to ask, as also being a realtor for Coldwell Banker, I'm sure that when you're selling homes of current seniors in Vista, you probably speak to them about their fears and what their future holds for them. These are people such as myself. I moved here 17 years ago. I sold my home in Shadow Ridge 3 years ago because I realized that I wasn't going to be able to afford the upkeep once I retired. So I moved into Green Valley Mobile Home Park, space number 50. I was very pleased. But upon hearing and witnessing some of the things that have gone on within my park, I've become very distressed. I worked for a company, and still work for the company part-time, where my pension was devalued. It used to be $480 some odd a share. It's now $75 a share. Because of the deregulation of our banking and investment industries by both the Democrats and the Republicans over the years, Most of the people sitting in this audience today lost a significant portion of their investments. Now that we're hearing about these plans that these people, these real estate investors are coming in with, I'm sitting back saying, where am I going to go? What happens now? The new apartments, those Avalon apartments right on South Melrose, for a 790 square foot apartment, the rent starts at $1,600. My Social Security is $1,300. You don't have enough shelters in the city of Vista to take care of all of us. I appeal to everyone's sense of decency to get our employees, John Meyer and our attorney that works with him, to work for this city, to look out for the seniors, not just the rest of the community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Gloria Cosgrove, followed by Marilyn Hatch.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and the council members. My name is Gloria Cosgrove, and I live at Vista Royal Mobile Home Park in Vista on 1010 East Beauvier Drive, Space 190. I would like to address the hardship and trauma experienced by seniors who sold their larger homes to downsize to an affordable housing situation. After retiring from the post office in Carlsbad, I worked for the Oceanside School District for 15 years as an instructional aide until I was laid off 4 years ago at age 82. Upon retiring, Social Security put me in the offset, which meant that they deducted 2/3 of my meager $600 a month benefit and gave me 1/3, which is $255. So people who are getting $1,300, I envy them. This is due to the offset was due to my government pension, having worked at the post office in Carlsbad for 23 years. Where or when can we find peace, joy, and happiness now as seniors accept in the dictionary? In closing, I would like to thank my esteemed mayor. In your re-election statement of 2014 for supporting programs that benefit our senior population, and I thank you for this opportunity. Have a good evening.
Marilyn Hatch, followed by Linda Photo.
Hi, Mayor and City Council members. There's just a lot going on and a lot that can be said. And we need affordable housing to continue in the city of Vista. I'm a single mom with 2 boys. I bought my home a year ago, and I feel that I'm paying enough right now. My space rent is $733, and with my water and sewer, it's $800 a month. My mortgage payment is only $1,500 a month. And, you know, when you consider the costs that are already passed on to us, you know, it's not a happy or a fair, it's kind of like a marriage that's unequally yoked, where one seems to be narcissistic and care only about themselves and what they can get from the other. The park owners need us to pay rent for the piece of ground that we are sitting on. We need the piece of ground to put our homes on. We are homeowners. We have pride of ownership, and we want that to continue. We want it to be affordable. I have heard in the discussions, even though the park owners are unwilling to divulge any of their financial to us or the reasons why they want what they want, they have been unable to support that or substantiate it. They want to pass through, on top of all the other costs, the costs associated with all their land, which they own. And my proposition to them was, why should we pay? Our homes are aging too. Why should we pay all of the costs in your aging parks as well as the costs in our aging homes? Okay? If they are willing to share my costs to replace my kitchen cabinets, my sinks, my toilets, my roof, everything that from a 1986 home, then sure, I'm willing to take on some of their replacement costs as well. But they have stated in their sessions, even though they haven't divulged anything, that they want a 15% return on investment. Now, upon hearing that and realizing that over the last 20 years, the stock market has only yielded 8% return, something at the cost of the homeowners, that upset me, okay? Like I said, this is like a business partnership where one person is robbing the other, okay, of their rightful share of the profits. We deserve to profit. We deserve to be able to sell our homes for a profit, not just the almighty park owners in this situation. So thank you for your time and your concern.
Thank you. Thanks. Lindy Photo? Is it Lindy or Linda Photo? Followed by Leslie Davies.
Good evening. My name is Linda Photo. I live at 200 South Emerald in the Santiago Park, number 77. Part of my family and where I live owns the home there and has been there for 25 years. And what I'd like to say first and foremost is that this deal with having to take over the repairs and everything in the park has been what I would call down and dirty. We never got any notification in our park. You know, I talked to Marilyn, I think about 2 weeks ago was when we first got everything. I used to live in Oceanside, and I did a lot of this. I did a lot of work in Oceanside with our city council and stuff there. And, you know, it was always on the up and up. And, Madam Mayor, if you hadn't put something in the paper to the effect of that the homeowners in the mobile parks don't seem very interested in this agenda, we wouldn't have known about it because nobody's ever contacted us. There's never been a flyer. There's never been anything. And what we will do is now we will start our petitions to get to you. You can see it's not going to be very hard to get everybody's and possibly your attention. I'd also like to say that I never thought I'd live in a mobile home park. You know, I've always owned homes and everything. But I'd like to say that where I live, there is something very special about it. I just, you know, and because of the economy, I live there. And there's something very, very special about it. It's more than a home. And I don't know what it is. It's the people. It's just what's there. And I'm a property owner. I was a realtor for a very long time, and I understand the making of a buck. But this, it's just too much. It's just too much. Where are these people going to go? I work in the arena of drug and alcohol and homelessness. It's horrid, and people who shouldn't be homeless are homeless, and it's because of what's happened to our housing costs. And I beg of you, with the City of Vista, to please not consider, how much money it's going to make for the City of Vista. This is a small part of Vista. There's a lot of stuff going on. We are building and building, but this is a very special place. Very special people live there, and I believe that the developers have what they have to have. They can do with their land, but my family also owned a few parks, and they were very kind to the elderly. So I'm very glad that I got to speak here. I'm furious about this. I think it's been underhanded and double dealing, and it doesn't smell right.
Thanks.
So thank you for letting me be here tonight.
Leslie Davies, followed by Jim Kilby.
Hi, Mayor and City Council members. I'm not here to speak on their cause, although I support it. But you don't have a pet store in your city, and I'm here to talk about the puppy mill stores that are opening throughout San Diego County. And several cities now have passed bans preventing these pet stores from coming to their city. And my fear is that if Vista doesn't do something soon, you will be the next city confronted with this issue. I don't know if you know what a puppy mill is, but this is a puppy mill, and this is where the pet stores that are currently buying their dogs, they are getting them from these kind of places. These are completely legal. They're 100% USDA federally and state licensed places where the dogs are shipped in trucks from Missouri, Kentucky, across the country, and they're all USDA licensed. This little dog right there will never get out of that cage. He lives his entire life from the time he was born until the day he dies in a cage like that. He will never see the ground. He's provided with food and water. The USDA says the length of your body plus 6 inches is an appropriate amount of living space for our companion animals. And Vista could be the dumping ground if you guys don't do something for one of these stores. It's also a consumer fraud issue because the people who own these stores will say, we don't buy from puppy mills. We only get them from USDA federally and state licensed breeders. And in fact, there's no legal definition of what a puppy mill is, and that's how they get away with this. And people will go in there and they'll spend several $1,000s on a dog that's basically AKC registered dog, but all that means is that both parents are purebred. It doesn't mean anything other than that. And I think that this should be an issue that maybe your city could check into, and we would like to possibly meet with some of you and let you know about what puppy mills are and how damaging they are to cities and businesses. Thank you so much.
I think Councilmember Campbell has a question for you.
I just wanted to give you a brief bit of information. Yesterday, I directed the city manager to place this item on an upcoming agenda so that we as a city council can discuss this issue and learn a little bit more about it in public. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Jim Kilby, followed by Lanny Bray.
Good afternoon. My name is Jim Kilby. You've just heard about the horrendous conditions puppy mill mothers and fathers must endure. You know that puppy mill breeders are regulated by the USDA, the United States Department of Agriculture, the same agency that allows gestation crates for pigs, where breeding pigs may be kept during pregnancy for most of her entire life. 9 states, including California, have banned gestation crates. And these states are passing bans because their citizens, like us, realize this is cruel and inhumane. Yet, pet stores proudly proclaim their sources are all USDA regulated. The USDA permits veal crates. Hundreds of thousands of calves raised for veal are confined in crates too narrow to even turn around. Tied by their necks to restrict their movement, they're virtually mobilized for their entire 16-week-long life. Veal calves are unable to walk to slaughter because their muscles are so severely undeveloped. 8 states, including California, have banned veal crates. Again, these bans are being passed because citizens like us realize this is cruel and inhumane. Yet pet stores proudly proclaim their sources are all USDA regulated. Incidentally, the Animal Welfare Act that supposedly protects breeding animals was originally called the Laboratory Animal Welfare Act. Regulation of breeders required that the animal be given a cage with a width and length that is at least 6 inches longer than the dog is long, about the same size as a pig gestation crate. And this is where the dog, man's best friend, will spend their entire life. The ASPCA estimates that as many as 10,000 puppy mills are in the U.S. Missouri is considered the leading puppy mill state. So why doesn't the citizens of Missouri do something about puppy mills? Well, they tried. In 2010, 1 million Missouri citizens voted to pass Proposition B that required the commercial puppy breeders to provide breeding dogs with access to nutritious food and drinking water, to provide breeding dogs with veterinary care for illness and injury, to provide breeding dogs with safe housing, adequate space, and room to exercise, to limit breeding dogs to a maximum of 50, and to require resting periods between breeding. Do you think this is unreasonable? Neither did the citizens of Missouri. However, Senate Bill 113 was rushed through the Senate before Proposition B went into effect. It abolished every core provision of Proposition B. Why? Because the puppy mill industry is a billion-dollar industry. If we are to end puppy mills, we must do it at the local ordinance level. We must cut off the demand.
Sir, your time is up.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Lanny Bray? Lanny Bray? Are you Lanny? No. Lanny Bray? She's not here? Oh, okay. Sydney Sickerell?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Sydney Sickerell, and I'm the West Coast Director for the Puppy Mill Project. We're here tonight to explain why you do not want a pet store in your great city selling puppies from the cruel puppy mill industry, and why it would be important for the integrity of Vista to amend your current animal laws. As you have heard, the puppy mill to pet store cycle is one of the largest and most egregious forms of animal cruelty, and it is legal. All pet stores that sell puppies, unless they are providing rescues or dogs from shelters, purchase them from puppy mills. Responsible breeders do not sell to pet stores, period. Can you hear me? I'm having trouble with, okay. In addition, this is an issue of consumer protection for your community. Pet stores provide misleading information to consumers, preventing them from making an informed decision. This is across the board. They do so because they can. There simply is no oversight. Also, local, state, and federal laws, where they exist, do little to protect animals in stores or puppy mills, and again, they simply are not enforced. Unassuming customers pay exorbitant prices for puppies that are likely to have serious congenital defects, health issues, and behavioral problems. This is an industry that is broken from top to bottom, driven by profit without regard to the health and welfare of the animals. Pet stores do not need to sell puppies to be successful. Pet supply stores are thriving in our region with the new premium foods and supplies. All of us across the country that work to protect suffering animals from puppy mills have found that the most effective course of action is legislation at the local level. For the last 4 years, over 75 cities, many of which had no puppy stores, recognized the importance of the issue and enacted laws in their cities. The city of Chino Hills is a great example. They decided to investigate how they might enhance their city's animal services to reduce healthy companion animal euthanasia. One of a number of actions they took was to prohibit any store from ever selling puppies from puppy mills in their community. We urge you to schedule a meeting with us. I understand that you're going to be putting it on the agenda. Is that what I heard? Okay, wonderful. And we're available to any of you if you'd like to speak to us. Prior to that, you have made a great choice to that will be helping animals save taxpayer dollars, and also enhance the image of your city. Your constituents will applaud your decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Nikki Hobson, is Nikki here? I think she might have left. I think I saw her leave. Patty Mitchell? Patty Mitchell? Oh, okay.
Hi, council members and mayor. I'm here to ask the city of Vista to pass an ordinance for nuisance dog barking. I've lived in the city of Vista with my husband for 9 years now, and we have neighbors that have dogs barking, and with the close proximity of the houses in some of the areas of the city, I work from home. They bark all times during the day and the night. They are not inside dogs, and I walk my neighborhood daily, two times a day with my dogs. My dogs are house dogs. Sometimes they bark inside, which I immediately stop them from doing. So I'm a responsible dog owner. Some people are not. When I walk the neighborhood, it's very quiet. There may be a dog barking now and then, but there are no dogs that are barking like my neighbor's dogs. And I feel that we deserve to live as peacefully as the rest of the neighbors. If I want to take my dogs out to my backyard, I slide my door open and they bark before I've even stepped a toe outside. And I think that we deserve a little bit more than that. There are Oceanside, Carlsbad, and Encinitas, to name a few, have ordinances against nuisance dog barking. And I have already gone down every avenue in Vista that I need to have gone through, as well as calling animal control numerous times in San Diego for them to come up. And as long as they're feeding the dogs and giving them a place to sleep, which they are, they can't do anything further. So I'd really appreciate if you could do something about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Margaret Day? Is Margaret here? And then she's followed by our last speaker, Maureen McDuffie.
Good evening. I represent the owner of 2 parks in mobile home in Vista. And I just want to say that the owners feel the accord has been very good for us, the residents, and the city. We do want another accord. We've hoped, my understanding is the last negotiation is we're going to try a mediation because we do want this to go forward, and we hope it can benefit all of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Maureen McDuffie. Is Maureen still here? Okay.
Last speaker, I guess. So I'm going to finish up Steve's statement and Pam's statement. I'll start with Pam's. She is certain that you are aware of all similar actions by owners throughout the state. She's talking about the loss of rent control in mobile home parks. Is this a coincidence? We have the same goal, to lower our rents, to live comfortably in our own homes, not with the corporation. I'm going off script here. I didn't plan on speaking, sorry. Anyway, trying to read her writing. Look no further than Oceanside, San Marcos, or San Juan Capistrano. All eyes are on you now to keep us contained and controlled, living in our own environments. And from Steve, he says, I believe a window of 5 business days is an adequate period of time to get this process restarted. If no communication has occurred within that time span, then he will take all of us here. We'll go to the streets in front of this facility until we get things moving again. We need to get this accord signed. We need a fair accord. We need fair negotiations. And off script, because I wasn't planning on speaking, I'd like to know from you, can I ask you questions? I cannot. Okay.
Because it's not agendized, so we can't talk about it tonight.
How do we get on the agenda? If nothing goes forward, what is our next step?
We'll talk about it, and with the city manager, we'll talk about it and let you know.
Okay, because that's what I'd like to know is, where do we go from here? What's next? What do we do? We're nervous. You can't answer me?
I can't.
Okay, all right.
Sorry.
We're all voters here. We're all encouraged to be here, to get our neighbors together. We want to stay together. We want to live in the city of Vista, and we don't want to be homeless. If this goes through and we don't have an accord signed and we can't afford to live in houses we bought with full understanding that we could live there affordably, we're at the point now where we're all nervous. We're all very nervous about where do we go from here. We'd like to hear from you.
Okay. Councilmember Campbell, thank you.
So as the mayor mentioned, the state's open meeting laws prevent us from discussing this item tonight, but I believe, if the city attorney can correct me if I'm wrong, I can make brief comments regarding this item, or if no more than two of us make comments.
You can make brief comments, yes.
Yes. First, it's very clear there's a lot of you that are very concerned about this issue. We hear your concerns, or at least I hear your concerns loud and clear. I've met with many of you in the past about this issue. I've been on top of this issue with city staff over the last few months to make sure something's happening. Personally, I'm not happy with how this process is going. I'm not happy with the park owners the approach and tack that they're taking. So if something doesn't happen very soon and the park owners do not meet in good faith, I'm going to ask the city manager to place this item on an upcoming agenda so that we can have that discussion publicly and discuss it here at the dais. So thank you for coming out.
Deputy Mayor Aguilera.
Ma'am, I understand that there's a lot of frustration here, and you did the right thing by coming here. So you were asking, what's the next step, or what can you do? And I think you've already taken that step. So we've heard you loud and clear, and we will be discussing this. So thank you for coming tonight.
With that, we're going to move on to our oral report. What are they called? Remarks. Our remarks. Sorry. I will. Actually, let me do my announcements, and then I'll go down the list. Okay. So I have just a few things about Shrek the Musical. Opens tomorrow evening, August 12th. Runs through August 29th. That's a tale of an unlucky hero who finds himself on a life-changing journey alongside a wisecracking donkey and a feisty princess who resists her rescue. So check online at moonlightstage.com for details. And beginning next Tuesday, August 18th, the Wave Water Park will be open on weekends only, except for Labor Day, through September 21st when it closes for the season. Fall registration for adult and youth sports programs is beginning. You can register online at cityofvista.com for the youth or adult sports programs, or by calling 760-643-5275. Could you guys kind of keep it quiet so that we can finish our meeting here? Thank you. The city, the chamber, and the VVBA are helping local businesses grow their presence online with Let's Put Vista on the Map workshop, which will feature lessons for improving search engine results, website creation, and online marketing. The free workshop takes place on Tuesday, September 1st here at the Civic Center. Register online at cityofvista.com/business for one of two identical sessions to be held at 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. And I'll turn it over to Councilmember Rigby for any comments or reports.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Actually, yes, I do. First of all, I want to report on two of the meetings that I've been to representing the city, and one was the Encina Wastewater Authority. I went to that Policy and Finance Committee meeting today, where they talked about, they reviewed the 2020 business plan and how it applies to the new draft tactical plan that they're going to bring to the Board of Directors. So that was just an overview of their key policies, their goals for the next 2 years, and how they plan to achieve those goals. So we'll see that at the board meeting, and I don't know that that'll come to the council for presentation, but we can discuss it if we need to. The other meeting that was very interesting, Assistant City Manager Ali Zimmerman and I attended the League of California Cities San Diego Division meeting yesterday. And it was one discussion item that took up the entire time, which was about the fact that the governor has called for a special super session or an extraordinary session to be tacked on to the end of this legislative session because he feels that the legislators haven't gotten all of his agenda finished. But one of the big ticket items was about finding new funding for road and freeway infrastructure in California. And it was funny to me because the discussion was there are no identified sources of funding for highway maintenance, but there are several funding mechanisms for highway maintenance. They just keep getting taken by the lawmakers for other ideas and other projects. So the discussion went to, with the city's support, an open-ended, vague, no detailed discussion on a bill that may or may not be drafted to support raising fees. And the consensus for all of the cities in the League of the Division yesterday was not at this time, because there is no bill presented particularly. There are no details to discuss. It was just kind of an open-ended conversation. So I think that is something that we as a city, the reason it came from the League was because they wanted to see if they could get support from legislators to put in language that any funding from the state that's collected on behalf of road and highway infrastructure would have a component that some of that monies would go back to the individual cities. So that's why that conversation was had. But there's just too much vagueness with it. There aren't any details. They haven't formulated anything in particular. So I think that's something that we're just keep an eye on and see what happens with that. So those are the two meetings that I went to. I just wanted to say it's great to be back from vacation, I think, but I also wanted to say thank you to my colleagues here for the lovely card that you gave to me earlier last month. So I appreciate that and your good wishes and your condolences. So thank you. I'm done.
Councilmember Franklin? Councilmember Cody? Oh, Councilmember Campbell?
No remarks this evening. Thank you.
Councilmember, or Deputy Mayor Aguilera.
Yes, I just have some good news to report. Last SANDAG meeting, Board of Directors meeting, Vista was approved for $2 million to continue our South Santa Fe improvement project. So a lot of that had to do with the points, I guess, we got for having the Sprinter station and the bus station and the development that we're actually doing. The affordable housing went a long ways to securing that money. So very happy with that.
City Manager Patrick Johnson.
Thank you. I have a few items, Mayor. I just want to let everybody know that the City of Vista is switching out 2,200 street lamps in the next 3 weeks. We're changing out from a low-sodium street lamp to an LED light, which will provide cleaner, whiter light, and it'll also save the city almost $100,000 a year. And so you might see crews in your neighborhoods switching out the lights, and this will take place over the next 3 weeks. We're also hosting our Fall Leadership Academy, which provides an insight into city government. So anybody that's interested can go to our website and sign up, which is cityofvista.com. And if Dale Nielsen is still here, or if he's not, I just wanted to congratulate Dale on a great career with the City of Vista for 28 years. Dale was instrumental in our finance department and has been a great person to work with. And I wish him and his wife, Lori, nothing but the best in retirement. So thank you.
Our City Attorney, Darrell Piper.
Nothing special this evening, Mayor. Thank you.
Our City Clerk, Marcy Killian. How about Amanda? Okay. With that, if nobody has something else?
Is it possible to ask that we adjourn this meeting in memory of Frank Durazo, longtime city employee who recently passed away?
Yeah, and also Ray Tellis. He's Velia Villasenor's husband and Danny Villasenor's father. And he just died recently also, so in both of their honor.
Thank you.
You're adjourned. There's a camera out there.